From the latest drops to the hottest takes, this is Joy Conversations. Hello and welcome. My name is Tad Salih, but you can call me Tadbusters. And boy, it is a sad day. R.I.P. Physical media is going away, and unfortunately, it looks like it's going to be here to stay. And what I mean by here to stay is actually gone. We are not going to own anything anymore, and you're going to like it. You're going to smile and be happy. With me, I have Tyler. You're with me again today.
As always, so far.
So how are you feeling about this news? This is kind of sad for me.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of mixed emotions going on with this one. Kind of a lot of different angles we can jump at it, where maybe there's kind of, maybe not necessarily great stuff, maybe some bad stuff. We can kind of get more as you dive deeper onto what the details of the news.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there is so much here, right? I took notes because I've been pretty upset since yesterday. It feels like a breakup, right? Like yesterday, it didn't feel real, and today it's starting to hit a little bit more. And I'm sad for what the future of video games looks like, for my future children, for the future of gaming, because inevitably Xbox is going to follow suit, and then I hope Nintendo never does, but I have a feeling they could. I mean, we've already seen that with the Game Key cards. So today I just wanted to kind of take this opportunity for us. I know you're more of a digital guy, and clearly I'm a pretty big physical collector. So I wanted to get your thoughts, and we can chat about what the good and the bad is on this situation. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't see any good in it. So let's just start off with the article from the PlayStation blog. This came out yesterday. If you're unaware, PlayStation released this pretty nonchalantly on Twitter in the morning, saying, hey, we are no longer going to be producing discs in 2028, starting January, for any new games releasing on PlayStation consoles. So let's go through this. We'll read this, and then we'll kind of feel this out afterwards. Starting off, so in response to shifting trends in consumer preference, new games will be released only on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. As consumer preferences and the broader entertainment industry continue to shift away from physical discs to digital, physical game disc production for all new games releasing on PlayStation consoles will be discontinued starting January 2028. Crazy. Following this date, new games will be available on PlayStation Store and at retailers in digital formats only. This transition has no impact on games that have already been released or will be releasing prior to January 2028 in disc format. So this is a pretty big shock. They go on to say this is a natural direction for Sony Interactive Entertainment to adapt to consumer trends as the general preference for digital media significantly outpaces physical discs, which this is just me here. I think there's some bullshit there. This transition will enable us to align more closely with how most of our community prefers to access and play games today. We'll continue to prioritize our resources to drive information in how players can access games and provide choices as to where players prefer to purchase new games, whether that's at retailers or PlayStation Store. We remain committed to delivering a world-class gaming experience to our fans, and we thank you for your continued support. And my favorite thing is at the very bottom of this page, we have a "Did you like this?" button. No, I did not, PlayStation.
You didn't click it? You're not going to click it?
I think you might click it, but I won't.
Yeah, well, I probably wouldn't click it. I'd think about it, but I wouldn't click that one.
I am sure there's a significant amount of people that clicked it. Let me just pull this up here, because I thought this was kind of funny. Let me go ahead and just jump on over to my tweet. So I did this yesterday. Canceled my PlayStation Plus account. Hopefully enough people cancel to get Sony to listen. To be honest, I wasn't using it anyways because I have my physical library to keep me entertained. Game Pass has way more options, and that's saying something. It's got pretty good reactions from the community. I was pretty surprised. But I got a lot of people who were pro-digital. Most of these people are pro-digital. Yes. So we'll just kind of go through some of these. Digital games, checkmark. Physical games, trash can. Throwing it in the trash can. Stop being angry kids. in me with my.
That's good. Yeah, I'm curious about one thing you point out because you were questioning the what PlayStation says about trends shifting to the majority going towards digital versus physical. I'm curious about like your thoughts on that. You seem to kind of scoff at that idea.
Yeah, I mean, I think they are, even if it's a 50-50 split, Sony would still say the players are gravitating more towards digital. They're always going to have they're biased for whatever's going to help their pockets. And this is entirely going to help Sony's pockets. A digital, copy costs them what? Probably very little to put it on their servers. So I just kind of wanted to jump across to some of my bullet points. But first, before we do that, tell me just kind of your first initial thoughts here. How do you feel about this? Obviously, I'm pretty angry. How do you feel? Is this good? Is this bad?
Yeah, so I am ultimately a digital buyer. I do have a good physical collection that I do like, mainly of PS3 specifically, and that era when digital just wasn't at the forefront. You're not going to be your digital library on PS3 is not carrying over into PS4. So that's where, like, to me, it kind of had a lot more, like, from then and further back, kind of has a lot more value to me collecting. Anything after that, PS4 and PS5, I have just kind of adopted digital mostly because I don't look at this as necessarily a good thing. That I never wanted physical to completely die off, but there was a time during the PS4 era that I'm like, this is inevitable. You look at Steam and you look at in PC in general and how that is the first to make that transition, and where like Steam is this dominant platform where people can play this huge library of digital games. Just as long as they keep updating their computer, keeping it good, they can play that whole back catalog, and it's one complete ecosystem. Where the console tradition of getting a PS1, then it's like PS2 comes out, sorry, play those games, PS3. We'll give you PS2 and PS1 emulation if you have this one specific, or not emulation, backwards compatibility. If we have like this one specific model for a little bit of time, and then we're going to kick everyone else to the curb after that, it's only going to be, I think they cut PS2 out and they kept PS1 and PS3 discs. But it's always been like an uphill battle for backwards compatibility throughout console generations. And I see digital as that avenue of like assuming that the tech can kind of stay consistent and keep going forward with that. Some of the best parts of Steam of keeping your one huge library through multiple generations of gaming. It isn't ideal. And I think where it's not a situation I'm 100% happy with today is that the PlayStation Store still has a lot of steps it needs to take to get to a comfortable position for people to comfortably put their games on that platform. I mean, you said it yourself with the way physical works. It's like this isn't within their best interest. They are going to make a bigger cut on digital games. They do have a financial incentive to push people to digital, and that's going to be the driving thing. And it also gives them more control. And the difference between like someone like PlayStation and Steam is that like Steam has fostered a great relationship with their consumers, that they gave them a lot more freedom than Xbox, Nintendo, PlayStation have on their storefronts. And that's why they're like the big brand where even Epic Games can literally give out digital games for free and no one wants to move off Steam. The problem is that, like, to me, I look at more like the problem is that these console creators and their storefronts just aren't as user friendly and aren't as consumer friendly with their business practices, which is what makes news like today scarier than it was in the past with PC or any other way.
Yeah, I mean, I think, comparing this to Steam, though, Steam offers a lot of really good sales that you don't see on PlayStation. And then also, say it all you want, if I have my Steam game, I can take that that executable file and I can move that off of my PC and I can move that to another PC or to my Steam machine or to my Steam Deck and I can play it on there. So I technically, physically, maybe not physically, but I own that. They can't take that away from me. With PlayStation, there's no such thing. They can revoke that license at any point. And that's the main problem here. I mean, look at this photo here. You got to see little Timmy under the Christmas tree. He's got his Zelda Ocarina of Time copy. What are you going to give? A PlayStation gift card for Christmas? How's that going to work? That's not going to feel special.
Are you sure that game's on a key card download?
Little Timmy doesn't care about a game key download. He cares about something tangible that he can physically unwrap on Christmas. Gift cards are the grandma gift that you don't know what to get, but little Timmy loves his Grand Theft Auto, so we'll get him a gift card. As sad as it is, this is going to be the reality. This is where we are headed. Jumping to a couple of my other points, just number one, why not both? Why can't we have digital and physical? I like the flexibility, and a lot of these indie games that are out, most times I'll double dip on both. My Steam library, I did the math last night. Almost every single digital game I own on Steam, I have bought physically. But that's because I either A, want to support the developers, or B, I got a great enough sale on Steam that I want to play that on my ecosystem of PC, Steam Deck, ROG Ally, any of my other machines. And I have the flexibility to do that. So I don't understand why all of a sudden. I mean, I get it. We're jumping towards a new kind of future. This really feels like the PlayStation 9. Did you ever see that ad, the PlayStation 9? It was a commercial that Sony released that was basically like what the future of Sony is going to look like with our new PlayStation.
What era was that? Was that during the PS2, PS3?
I have it pulled up. This was 19. Okay.
Oh, 99.
It says 99, but yeah, it's really
PS2.
2000. So we're just going to watch this really quick.
Okay. I saw a little bit. I do remember this now.
This was what Sony created.
New for 2078. PlayStation 9's new electronic spores tap straight into your adrenal gland.
But basically, it's just kind of showcasing. It's going to be a chip in your head in whatever year PlayStation 9 would be, which...
That is the digital future.
You and me may or may not be alive at this point if it's every 10 years. So it's, another 30, 40 years away, potentially.
I'm already 55.
So yeah, you'll be 90s. It feels like this is where we're heading, unfortunately. So what do you think? Is there a possibility why we couldn't have both?
Yeah, and again, I like why, to me, the answer is not that this is good or bad, but that it was inevitable. Is to me, digital was inevitable that we were going to make that move. What the biggest shock to me about this news is that I kind of expected physical to always be there, in the same way that Spotify and Apple Music have taken over for music, and that's how people are pretty much listening to all their music digitally now. Yet there's still a vibrant record scene. It's not everybody's doing it, but it is still a healthy, growing community of diehard fans that can get a physical version of this media if they want, and they pay a premium price for it. Obviously, a $60 record sometimes it can go up to, is incomparable to, that's one album compared to the infinite library you can get for, I believe it's $12-15 a month now for Spotify. You pay a premium, but you know what you're getting into. I thought that was the direction we would end up at.
Yeah.
And that was something where I go, I think that's a fair trade. That is, as we get more indoctrinated into the digital future, into these digital ecosystems, that you always have that option for those premium ones that if you really want it, if you're willing to spend it. And I guess not. PlayStation was the last holdout, because it's funny that PlayStation is getting a lot of slack for this, when I look at it they are the last ones to give up. Xbox, the physical scene is very dead there. It's rare that they were pushing back on releasing physical editions in general for a long time. Not many people are collecting that.
especially this generation.
Yes,
half the
yeah.
games that have come out have been either they've skipped or they just have been half on the disc.
Yeah, the wishy-washy nature of, I mean, Xbox in general, but of their physical releases has kind of killed the collecting scene there. And then Nintendo comes and they, what the Switch 2 is their big thing of the game key card and the whole debacle of certain games are on the key card fully. Certain games are just a download. And PlayStation was the last consistent one you could rely that every time you got a physical disc or a physical copy, there would be a disc in there. And that's why I kind of find it interesting that like they're taking so much heat when I think they were the one holding out the longest. But
yeah, no, totally. And you bring something up that I hadn't even thought of. I buy a majority of my games on the PlayStation 5. My collection is mostly PS5. My main collection is Switch. My second is the PS5. It's my second favorite console ever, the PS5. I love it because of this availability to physical. Most games are on disc, maybe not all of them actually all full printed on disc, but I can get a physical copy that's not a game key card, or even just if there's a game that comes out on Game Pass, 9 times out of 10 it'll come out physically and there will be a PS5 copy of it. Yeah, it's really sad. And then, just jumping into these next things that I was thinking of, selling and trading in games to GameStop, selling them to your friends, loaning them to your friends.
Talk about
Go
famous PlayStation videos. You were bringing up the ad. It's like the clear example is the second they announced this, it's Shuhei Yoshida giving it to Adam Boyes, trading or how to share on PS4. It's like crazy to think that they won a generation basically with a single video like that. And let's see.
Beautiful.
We gotta wait for it. Wait for the moment. This is the end game pipe bomb. Oh, dude, it's crazy. That is such a good video, and that won a whole generation. And then now we're in now we're in a time where PlayStation is so ahead of the game when it comes to specifically with Xbox and that competition, and they kind of are shooting themselves in the foot time and time again. Not listening to their past, not listening to their history. So,
and it's just so sad. I'm looking. So they did a couple AI versions of this video where it's just like, let me see if I can find it. Well, IGN did one.
I like modern ones. That's the idea.
It's like, how do you share your game? You don't. You don't share it. That's where we're at. And it's sad because I worry about, and I think about the future of what retailers look like. What does GameStop look like? Yeah, there's the joke of this being the Funko Pop store just times 10. Compared to what it is already now, what is GameStop going to look like in 2028? I mean, to be honest, I think they're going to do well. I think that they're going to be selling a lot of games. But I worry about like the Walmarts as far as like little Timmy going in and wanting to buy a game. What does that video game section look like?
Well, I mean, it does sound like the idea is that you will still be able to walk into a Walmart and buy a game. It'll just be a case. You're buying a simple case with a digital code, or maybe they even drop the case because it's too much plastic. And
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. What's the incentive then to have a video game section in your store if there is no video games? Unless it's just Switch.
Yeah, I mean, hey, like, it does seem like even in 2028, it seems like a really bad idea to not have any way to buy a game in a store. Whether that is a digital, whether that is a physical, like that has to be there still. And I think that's why that they're pushing. They'll still have the cases maybe for a while. Maybe the cases go away. But because they do need people who aren't, there's still going to be plenty of people who aren't digitally evolved like that in that digital ecosystem that just want to walk into a store and see what the latest game is, pick it up and go home. I think that's why GTA 6 is so adamant that, like, despite not having a disc in their case at all, they're adamant that they got to have a case out because they understand that, like, especially a game like GTA 6 that is so mass appeal that they're plenty of its fan base that are not paying attention to anything online. They're going to see an ad that GTA 6 in stores now. They're going to go to their store and they're going to pick it up, not knowing that they're probably not even realize that there's a disc in there or not. I'm curious to see what they think when they open it and there is none for kind of old school people like that. But
yeah, they're going to be disappointed. I mean, they're going to, if they're not following the news, then like, you know, that's on them at that point. Because Grand Theft Auto is the biggest talk in video game industry ever. But yeah, there will be those people. There will be those people that, I remember for me, my grandma had to buy me Grand Theft Auto. She bought me Grand Theft Auto 4, and I was so excited, right? Tried to keep it a secret from my dad, hide it from him. She gave it to me outside of a buffet, and I was like, success, didn't get caught. You know, you're not going to have those moments anymore.
It's like a little drug deal going on.
A little drug deal from grandma.
Yeah.
So here's one for you. And this is a big one. So legally, if you die, your PlayStation is tied to you. Those games cannot be transferred to anybody in your family, friends. That console is legally tied to you, and it is illegal to share those games with anybody.
Yeah. I mean, this gets into like what I talked about earlier of the difference between like Steam's rise and PlayStation and a lot of these console stores rises. And even Steam has this issue actually, but that like there's just so much more that needs to be put in place, that these stores still have so much more to go to get people to feel truly comfortable with their games on that library. That is a big issue. I think that's weird that we don't have a solution to that. And I kind of look at it as like, you would think there'd be more legal push with this digital age in general. Like, this isn't just a gaming thing. This is with the entire world just going more and more online, that you would have these safeguards or have these laws and provisions in place to work around and like kind of mandate these companies have answers to these questions, these serious questions. And they're just not getting pushed. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world that probably are higher on the list than I want my digital games. But like, we are becoming just so connected online, and it seems like there's just too many people who still don't get it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, Sony's going to need to come out after all of this and find a solution and relax everybody and say, hey, listen, we understand you guys are frustrated. Here's what we're going to try to do to mitigate all of your concerns. And they need to come out and they need to say, here's what we can do about, say, if you die and all of your games are tied to your account, here's what we're going to do about that. Here's what we're going to do if you want to trade a game in, or if you want to sell a game, or say you want to give a buddy a game. You know, I've seen that Xbox as of yesterday, they are working on a potential digital to disc distribution. Might have been like a disc player or something, a peripheral that you can buy, put it in your Xbox and buy a CD, DVD, Blu-ray, pop that in. It will burn it to that disc. I would love to see a world in which that happens. Let's see if I can find that. Xbox.
Yeah, I saw that news. That news is really interesting. I think that's super pro-consumer. And, you know, it's like, again, like what I keep going back to is like, if this is an inevitable future for the industry, for the way we play games, then we want to have companies that we can trust that can put something in place like this to help bridge that gap, to help us feel more comfortable, feel more like they are on our side, than it feel like this is just a push to get more money out of us.
Right, because right now it just feels like them saying get like they don't care, you know, entirely. I mean, I was really anticipating, like I knew it was coming. I'm in your same position where it was inevitable, but I thought that it was going to be a slower instead of just a rough one.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, we unfortunately got this news right after the fact that PlayStation has also said that they are going to be removing, and I just got this email literally an hour ago. I got this email right before we were going to record. Starting July 2027, PlayStation Store, so a year from today, July 2027, PlayStation Store will close on PS3 and PS Vita in your region. After that date, you will no longer be able to make new purchases through PlayStation Store on these devices. This change is happening because after nearly 2 decades, After nearly 2 decades, the PS3 and PS Vita can no longer support the outdated commerce, payment, and security needed to keep PlayStation Store operating reliably on those devices. AKA, a lot of people were modding our systems and we weren't making any money off of it, so we're shutting it down. What will no longer work after July 2027, you will no longer be able to buy new games, add-ons, or other content from PlayStation Store on PS3 or PS Vita. What will continue to work, you continue playing content you already own. Oh, thanks, that's nice. Subject to each game's existing online features and service availability. You will still be able to download content you previously purchased for the foreseeable future. For more details, including how to access previously purchased content, blah, 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 visit the links below on howtoget.com.
The scariest one is the foreseeable future.
Yes.
That's how I'm like,
right.
Yeah, I see what you're doing. Well played putting that wording there is to give yourself an out eventually.
No, they were very selective. I mean, inevitably, those will be gone probably. I mean, at that point, you're not even thinking about the PS3 or the PS Vita. If those games, if you have your nice shiny PS6 and you're playing, Jak and Daxter or Astrobots 2, who knows when this is going to officially go away. But yeah, I mean, this sucks too. I love my Vita. I just set up my PS3 literally 2 days ago. And it's really sad that, this is happening, that we're at this point in the world where we just can't have nice things. We can't have the nice things that we bought. And then Sony comes out and says, we are removing 500 movies from our storefront. So if you own any of those are gone too. You don't own anything. You're owning a license. And we can revoke that license at any point. So PS3, PS Vita, those are gone.
Yeah, that one is I love the Vita. I had 2 terrible video game loves in my life. That was the Wii U and the Vita. And the Vita especially. Oh my gosh. And they just didn't sell enough. But they were amazing machines. The Vita was, I think the Switch shows the Vita was clearly ahead of its time. And it's a bummer to see that the store is going to be gone and that you won't be able to make those purchases anymore. To me, as long as we are able to download, that's the bigger one that I care about at this point. To continue holding out. And when they say stuff like foreseeable future, that's where I go, I'm really fascinated to see how long that lasts. Because I think that's all, we are such a young, medium video games. We're still growing so much. I mean, this really is the first time we're going to be seeing something like this where it's we had
big
a
change.
digital, this is, the PS3 would be some people's first digital library. And now we can potentially see what it looks like when your first digital library could potentially go away. And with Vita, what happens then? How long does that take? If it's within, say, okay, 2028 is when PS6 comes out and they move away from physical and all that. And it's are they just going to cut it at 2029? Is it that soon? What does that bode for the PS4 store, the PS5 store in the future? Those are the questions I'm really curious about of how they handle this. Because even again, I talked about PlayStation being the last holdout for physical. This is another great example where they were going to shut these stores down a while ago, and it was people complained enough that they kept them on. I think it was almost 3-4 years ago, a good chunk of time where they were supposed to be dead already, and they held out this long. And so I look at that PlayStation was holding out as long as humanly possible, trying to keep these stores up for people. But I mean,
and I know people that actively play their Vita and actively play their PS3, and they visit the storefronts.
I just played my PS3. I play my PS3 all the time this year, actually. I recently beat the old X-Men Origins Wolverine game on there. Love that stuff. Love my PS3.
Yeah, I just started the Killzone franchise for the first time on PS3, and I'm having a blast with it. Yeah. I obviously don't really visit a whole lot of the storefronts because I'm such a physical collector. I'm visiting my favorite mom and pop video game stores. It's just gonna I'm curious what the mom and pop video game stores look like in 20 years. Because you're not gonna have those new games. So if really truly the last generation of consoles that we have released are say it is this this generation right now, the PS5, the Xbox Series X, and the Switch 2. It's going to be a really sad retro store when those are the last consoles that you can buy physical content for in 30 years. And then look at these prices. We got The Last of Us. This is today. The PlayStation Network has The Last of Us Part 2 remastered for $50. Or you can get it new for $30 at Walmart. You can own it.
Yeah.
Elden Ring, $60. PlayStation Network, right now. $27.72 at Walmart. Have fun with those prices. This sucks not just for us. It's just your average gamers, but think about some kid in college who's wanting to play the newest game. And a lot of times he works, maybe a pretty standard 9-to-5 job, flips burgers. He can't afford Elden Ring at $60 right when it comes out. He's usually waiting till it drops to this price. Well, now we're going to be seeing this price unless they offer better discounts on digital games than what we ever see. I mean, Elden Ring is years old at this point.
Yeah, and frankly, with that, it does seem like those are sales on the Walmart store too, which kind of muddies it a bit because I think they do still sell them like full price if they can at that price, whether it's physical or digital. But it does bode like it doesn't change the fact that physical usually does, because of the market demands that these stores have to deal with, whether about overstocking, various different reasons. Physical will be on sale much cheaper, much more often than these digital ones will be. And these digital ones are really kind of at the behest of what the company deems its value at and what it wants to do. And if it even remembers about the game. Like I go through PlayStation deals all the time. And one, for example, is like LA Noire, the remaster on PS4. They've had that game for like, I believe it's $40 like straight.
Crazy to me.
And then, yeah. And so it's like $40 new. It's a remaster. It's remaster is even putting it generously. It's basically a port with like one slight change. And when they put it on sale often. I'll give them that. But whenever they put it on sale for $20. And then it's like, part of me is like, do they even know that they're doing that? And they just like have this base price that it just random, whenever a sale goes on, Rockstar just like clears it. It goes on sale. Cause I'm like, $20. You can go find LA Noire on sale on Steam for like $5. And like little things like that. Or I've noticed PlayStation especially have risen their sale prices over time on specific games, where it's like PlayStation used to be really generous, where after a year or so you could find God of War for $20 on sale really cheap. Nowadays it's like I have seen good deals for, let's say, Horizon Zero Dawn that over time have gotten higher and higher, even when it is on sale. Like, yeah, it's on sale, it's not the full price, but I have seen it on sale consistently for lower prices just a couple months ago, and you seem like you've decided that you don't want to sell it at that price anymore. And
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if a game is out for more than a year, I don't know about you, but I will not buy it unless it's half off, at the very minimum, physically. This $60 price, $50 price, even for this game, like, this should be half that. I can go and buy a new game for this price. I don't want to be spending that money. So,
yeah,
I mean,
it's pretty expensive.
It's insane why we're having to pay these prices, and why they think Sony can justify selling it at these prices.
Yeah, the PlayStation Store, again, I'm seeing a trend of less and less sales that were really good deals on games now going up more slowly. I think these just companies are not willing to price their games out as cheap as they used to. Ubisoft is another great example that does that. And that it doesn't matter about like the value for the player of what they're willing to spend. It kind of just matters like what they can get you to spend, especially with like dynamic pricing that they do now. And they're just trying to get as much money out of it as they can at what they think that we can get you to spend, rather than what you think it's actually valued at.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they can make up whatever prices they want. Clearly, they hold a monopoly, which, for me, I think that there's going to be a lot of pushback on this. And I hope that, I don't know, is it the FTC or the FCC that would have to step in here? Because I do foresee this, at
It's
least for
FTC.
FTC. Yeah, then
Don't call
the F. It's one of the two.
Yeah, it's some F and some C. We don't know.
They're going to have to step in, and I mean, because this affects the livelihood of a lot of retailers. And it just sucks for me because I have preached on about how I'm such a big physical collector, but just the genuine relationships and the fun spirit that it brings when you go to a midnight launch for, Call of Duty. We don't have a whole lot of midnight launches anymore, I'll give it that, but Call of Duty and Pokemon are really it. And having that special moment with a bunch of other gamers, getting to chat about the games, you're not going to have that anymore. The last one, realistically, I mean, who knows if they'll do a Grand Theft Auto midnight launch at this point with being a digital code in the box. Maybe. But realistically, yeah, the next one is probably going to be Ocarina of Time. And if that goes well, then great. That's going to be the last midnight launch ever. Enjoy it. Depending on if it comes out or before Call of Duty or after. Because if Call of Duty comes out after, that'll be your last midnight launch, and that'll fizzle out. That'll suck. Last midnight launch ever for Black Ops 17. Whatever we're at now.
Yeah, I wonder how different this one's going to be. Midnight launches were a great time. It was a very different, with the way physical was, and that was the dominant way. It's different time. Really great fun time to experience. Although, this is where I go, I try not to be too old man yelling at clouds about it, about oh man, I loved it so much when I would wait in line in the cold until I got my game at midnight, and I'd go home and be too tired to play and then go bed. Where now I can kind of just there is a luxury to the digital where I can preload it, and then the second hits, being on the West Coast 9, it's I can just play it right away. And I love that.
Do you get worried when I tell you that your games will die with you? Does that hit anything, or how do you feel about that?
It bums me out thinking about hope, I guess, my library of games not being able to pass it on to a next generation for any kids I have. I would love to be able to do that. But yeah, I don't know. That's one I would hope as we get older, by the time I have to deal with that, I'd hope it'd be fixed. But that's wishful thinking at this point. Because again, that problem feels bigger than games, really. It feels like issues that are a lot of these companies that are wanting to have, every company's asking you to put your email in and make an account now. And it's any company that's asking for you to make an account and have a digital history or library should have ways for you to actually physically own that in some way, or at least do something with it after your life. So
yeah, it's entirely anti-consumer how that functions. Just that alone should make it scary for many people to not want to buy a digital game. But the thing is most people don't think about games after they die. They don't think about this, and most people aren't knowledgeable.
Most people don't think about games after they beat them.
No, entirely true. So yeah, I canceled my PlayStation Plus account. I wasn't really using all the games anyways. I'll probably go back down to the basic tier just so I can play online, Call of Duty when it comes out. But I'm going to end with this. As much as I about digital, I just bought $37 worth of Steam games last night.
Steam Summer Sale, man. It's going on. It's great.
But hey, they were offering some great deals. Like we were talking about, PlayStation does offer great deals, but I rarely even see them as good as I do on Steam. Like we were chatting about with L.A. Noir. And I will preface it that I trust Steam a hell of a lot more than I trust Sony. And honestly, that's saying something with Steam.
And hey, that doesn't mean that Steam's going to be the most trustworthy place forever. We just saw a PlayStation video from 12, 13 years ago where PlayStation was the most trustworthy, was on top, was literally telling their audience, oh yeah, we're not going to lock you into an online only digital ecosystem where that's the only way you can play your games. Here, you can trust us. And now they're basically at their PS3 energy with the $599 PS3. Again, we're just back there. So
let me see if I can find that. Share your games PS4. Oh my god.
The AI one.
Yeah, here we go. Let's see if this is it. It might be it. You don't. You. Good times. Yeah, it's a
Bring
shame.
back Shuhei, man. That was their downfall, really. They should have brought back Shuhei.
I am curious though, and I wanted to ask you this as we wrap up here. What do we think about the future of physical games? The physicals that I have now, do we think these are going to go up in value? Are we going to be seeing kind of a higher prices on video games already, more than we already see on retro games?
Well, I'll tell you this. They already went up in value from the time you asked that question to the time I started answering it. Game collecting has been on the rise rapidly, and these prices are getting crazier and crazier, even for the weirdest games that you would never think would be that expensive. So in short, yes, I think that will, especially something like this, will jack it up in some way. I think actually it'll jack it up mostly for like the consoles I said, PS3 and
PS Vita. Yeah.
I'm curious how that this impacts PS4 and PS5 in that area where it's like, well, if those are the only games that will pretty much continue, like that generation feels pretty locked digitally moving forward. What does a physical copy mean? And like as time goes on, you would hope so. To me, like the scariest thing is all the games that do end up inevitably getting delisted. I mean, there's still PS4 and PS5 games that just get delisted on the store, but at least there's a physical one you can have. Some of the few physical PS4 games I hunt down are those types of games. Is like as dumb
Marvel
as it sounds,
Ultimate Alliance 2.
That's like, yeah, a great one. And as dumb as it sounds, like I have Fast and Furious Crossroads because they delisted
That's right.
that recently.
Yep,
like,
bought that for $10.
Yeah, I gotta get that physical right away. I love Fast and Furious. But
not a great game though, by any means.
Yeah, but I gotta do it for my boy Dom, you know.
Also Deadpool, one of those really highly expensive games now because of this license issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, and then on the flip side, it's like, so for me, I have a good example is Transformers Devastation. Great game. That is arguably the best Transformers game. You could argue with another one, which is also delisted. But the point is that I have that digitally, but it's delisted. And Lord forbid anything happens to my account, and PlayStation wants to decide that like that specific game gets lost somewhere in its database, or they just don't want you to download it anymore. Then I now I have to hunt down a physical one. And at that point, how many are left? How expensive is it? What happens in the future where there is none, like what's happening where it's all just digital codes and a game gets delisted for likely a license reason? It's just gone.
I'm just really curious, what does the industry look like in the far future, say 50 years from now, where these are the last remaining, granted, yes, disc rot is a thing, but that is if you don't take care of your games and they're in a terrible controlled environment and you're not playing them. Yes, it can happen. But most people take care of their games, like I do. I dust these bad boys every couple of months. I'm curious what it's going to look like. I'm trying to think of like Blade Runner, and you see them like with the jacket, like, hey kid, come here, I got Black Ops 3, and I got Yoshi's Story, $700 each.
Yoshi's Story, and then Nintendo comes in with their SWAT team, takes it out of your hand.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be a really sad future, but I'm going to be the old man chatting at the clouds with my grandchildren.
Back in my day, we used to have physical games like Star Fox Command on the Nintendo DS.
He got it. That was like $6,000.
We
My
talked about this
gosh.
offline, but yes, this case alone was $70. Wait, no, $60. Not even including the game. I had the game already.
Not even a game key card. Not even a digital download.
Pff, this is trash. No game key card in this. Ugh, gross. We're already paying. I mean, this was $120 complete. We're already paying those prices right now. Granted, Nintendo hasn't jumped out of the game yet, but give it 10 years. We might be looking at that.
If you ask me, I think their virtual game key card thing is their stepping stone. I think that was their way of easing it in. Which is, again, the crazy thing about this whole PlayStation news is how it just dropped out of nowhere.
Yeah, there was no easing it in. They didn't care to.
Yeah, at least buy me dinner first.
Well, Tyler, it's a sad day. I'm disappointed. Let's wrap out here. Tell me and the audience what your last physical game that you purchased and where people can find you.
Last physical game, it was Dirt 2 for the PS3. I bought that like a couple weeks ago. That game rips. I'm just telling you. I wish that's another delisted one. I wish you could still play it. For the menus alone. You don't even have to play the game. Just look at the menus. They're amazing.
So you're still buying games today then?
Yeah.
Retro games.
Retro, like again, yeah. I'm avoiding PS4 and PS3. It's kind of like where I go, but PS3 or PS4, PS5, PS3 and prior is kind of what I go. Mainly PS3. That's my like little gaming collection for physical that I love to do. I call it my island of misfit games because I get games like Dirt 2 instead of, I don't know, the like copy of the God of War trilogy or something like that.
Well, get them while you can, because those are going away. That's the only place you're going to be able to get them is retro gaming stores until Sony shuts down the PS3 store. Well, Tyler, where can people find you?
Well, you can find me at SuitAndTyler on YouTube. I go there and make various video game reviews, video game related content of all shapes and sizes. Enjoy it.
It is a sad day, but audience, we want to hear from you. What do you think about this news? Are you upset? Do you believe in digital? We want to hear it. Let us know in the comments down below. Make sure to go and give Tyler some love. Subscribe to his channel. And until next time, be kind, play on until you can't.
And don't forget to give your digital games a little kiss goodnight because you never know. You never know what can happen to them.
Never know. Bye, guys.